Yes, hello. Is this Mr. Mulla?
It is.
Oh, yes, hello, Mr. Mulla. It's Mr. Hussein here, brother of Talib Hussein. It's been some.
Oh, hello, Mr. Hussein. Long time no speak.
The infamous Mr. Hussein returns.
Oh dear.
It's been a long time. You're right, Mr. Mulla. Yes. As you know, I think we spoke many years ago. The matter was going to the Court of Protection. I think it was 2019 that we spoke.
Just before COVID.
Yeah, that's right. Just before COVID, because if you remember, I was taking my brother to Pakistan, and
Yes.
Obviously I took my brother to Pakistan, and then subsequently there's been all sorts of other ongoing things. But the reason I'm contacting you directly today is, as you know, I've been liaising with my brother's Talib's care coordinator, Christopher Browell.
Yeah.
And well, unfortunately, that relationship has. I just don't feel that. I'm putting Mr. Browell in a situation where he's obviously feeling quite frustrated because nothing's been progressed. And I've refrained myself from contacting you in the past simply because of, ongoing things. I think when we last spoke, my mother was still alive.
Yeah.
And
Unfortunately, she's passed away.
yes, well,
Yeah.
it's not just unfortunate. It's obviously, as you know, I've made certain serious allegations that the local authority have facilitated and precipitated this. To a point where, and I'm sure you're fully familiar with the case. We were made homeless, kicked out the city, and then, like I said, like the prodigal son, I returned. I've been back in Bradford for some time with my brother. And I'm really, obviously, the reason I'm contacting you directly is because obviously, officially you are now, his financial deputy, much to my protest and contentions. The matter as it remains is because, obviously, as I've clearly exclaimed, the local authority buys off the judges, bought off the judge, and, obviously, we're in the situation as it stands today. And so I wanted to liaise with you directly regarding some of the concerns I've been raising with Mr. Browell, and just wanted to get an update with yourself as to the present status of the situation, because I believe a final hearing took place once again in my absence in May last year. Also, I believe that Mr. Browell had come down and spoken to my brother Talib, and presently we're in a situation where, well, basically there's a stalemate, isn't there? And
well, it just depends on what engagement we get from yourselves, really. I think as a financial appointee or a deputy, we are trying to engage with the family to ensure that your brother receives, the daily allowance and living allowance and whatever that he needs for his day-to-day living. That's where I'm coming from, really.
Okay.
From a financial perspective, we need to make sure that your brother receives the financial help that he needs.
Yes, I understand. So what efforts have you made in this regard?
Well, we've sent bank card to you, your address in Oldham, which never got used. We didn't even get an acknowledgement to say you received it or anything.
Okay.
That's the way forward, because remember in the past, we used to drop money off at Horton Park, and you and your brother used to go there and collect it every couple of weeks from Bali. Do you remember?
Oh yes, I do clearly remember. Yes, and then Bali used to come and deliver the money directly.
Bali obviously left the scene, and then Christopher took over. But in the meantime, you'd moved to Oldham. So while you were in Oldham, we sent you a prepaid card, which was issued for your brother.
Yes.
And the way the system works is we would update that card or upload that card on a weekly basis, and that would then allow you to go and do the shopping and whatever you need to do.
I understand, Mr. Browell. I'm sorry, I understand, Mr. Mulla. But can you understand, yes, you did send a card, and I believe the card was sent around about, I think, in October 2021, if memory serves me correctly.
Maybe, I can't remember the dates and what have you, but obviously we did make an attempt to give you a bit of an option in terms of, rather than you coming to the office and collect cash or whatever, we gave you an option so we could do it remotely, so you didn't have to come anywhere, and you had the the money on your card kind of thing.
Yes, I understand this, but just for your clarity of understanding, because previously, as you were, I mean, this is I'm sure you will agree with me. This is a highly complex matter. It's not something straightforward, and it's quite nuanced as well, isn't it? It's not something that's straightforward. Or we did X, Y, and Z. I mean, what you're talking about here, we gave you a card. I believe that was in October 2021, and the reason I remember this is because when the card actually got delivered. I think there was a letter assigned to it. I actually open up the card. I actually took those documents with me to the Oldham police station. I took those documents to the police station because at the time I was lodging several complaints regarding the conduct and behaviour, and the reason I remember this quite vividly is because when I actually did open the envelope with the card inside it, I was actually sat at the Oldham police station, and in front of me was a police officer when I opened the card, and the reason I did that was because I felt that once again this was a further attempt at entrapment. And the reason is because remember you had sent the card in October. However, prior to October 2021, previously the same scenario was set up with my brother Adalat, who was giving the card, was basically attempting to give my brother the card. And one of the things that we made it quite clear, my brother made it quite clear, he does not want to be dealing with cards. And so when eventually somebody had, obviously in the council, had given instructions to Adalat to give Talib the card, me and my brother went to the bank and we withdrew all the money. And subsequently that resulted in a safeguarding. And the reason it resulted in a safeguarding, and I'm sure you...
Which card are you talking about? We never instructed your brother to give anything to anybody.
No, you did. Obviously, you personally probably didn't. And we're talking here about February 2019. And the reason is because, and I'll explain to you, because obviously it's not only yourselves that are involved in this direction.
Were you withdrawing cash from that account that Adalat had then?
If you just allow me to explain the situation. So what had happened was that prior to yourself taking over, because I believe that you had taken over the benefit money in I believe in 2019, in October 2019. That's when I believe that you had taken over the DWP benefit money. Prior to the October 2019, in February 2019, obviously the predecessor was Adalat, wasn't he? He was the prior appointee, and what Adalat was doing was taking instructions from Bradford Council. I don't believe that was probably from yourself, but he was most definitely taking instructions from Baljet Nota or the social services. So when me and my brother had attempted to go down to visit him in February 2019, and I remind myself that a Talib had been discharged into my care in January 2019. When we had gone down, obviously he'd told us that, we'll give, I said my brother's got no money now. It's been over a year since you've been handling his affairs or was made his deputy, so we need some access to his money. I took my brother down with me, and he handed over a card to my brother and myself. So subsequently, I proceeded to withdraw that money from the cash machine. And as a consequence of assisting my brother to draw the cash from the cash machine on a card that Adalat had given us in February 2019, this then subsequently I realized resulted in a safeguarding alert by Baljet Nota and Mr. Browell's manager Nadia Khan having a safeguarding meeting, asking questions regarding my brother's capacity and so on and so forth. So the situation was one where after a card had been given to me, remember I had refused in the past to accept a card, and so had my brother. But when we did accept a card from our brother Adalat and we looked to withdraw the cash, I think there was about £2,000 in there in their account. When we withdrew the cash from the account, obviously this triggered a safeguarding alert, so there was an issue there, and Adalat was then subsequently instructed not to top up the card, and subsequently informed that he could only put £250 in the card. So this arrangement that you're looking to put in place later on in the year, in 2021 is something that obviously I'm feeling very apprehensive about. And the reason I feel very apprehensive about this is because obviously the elephant in the room is the local authorities' criminal conviction against me. So that has always that's a problem here that we're having, you see. So the problem is that if you give a card to Talib, effectively you're giving the card to Talib, you're not giving it to me, are you? Okay, and this is an individual that last used the older DWP post office books. That's what he's familiar with. He does not know how to use a card. So the idea and notion of him actually retaining or having a PIN number or something like this, it's simply not of any use to him. And hence why he has articulated that I want my money in cash. And hence why we were subsequently going, as you mentioned, going to Horton Park to collect this money, or subsequently they were coming to our house to give the money. And then subsequently what has happened is that when we've been effectively kicked out of the city, Baljit Nota and Fungi have proceeded to give my brother Talib the money in Oldham. I think
they did actually come to Oldham to give you the money.
yes, and if I remind myself that what had happened on that particular occasion, once again they had attempted to deliver the money through my exclusion, basically not informing me, not telling me that, oh, Mr. Hussain, we're traveling from Bradford to Oldham. Can you make sure that you open the door or somebody's inside? No, they didn't do anything like this. Basically, they did a surprise visit. Unfortunately or fortunately for myself, I was not at home at the time. I do remember being at the laundrettes, so when Bali and Fungi had come in to see my brother Talib alone, he had obviously come to the door and explained that, obviously he did not want the money and the money should be given to myself, his brother. And at which point Bali and the Fungi proceeded to explain to him that no, it was his money and that he should take the money. At which point my brother became highly agitated and told them all to fuck off. And slam the door in the face. I think that's what you will find, is that the last time that you attempted to deliver the money, but cash, was I believe in February 2021. And subsequently, I don't believe that you've made any further attempts to deliver the money, because we've not been accepting the money because the circumstance.
Exactly. We're not getting any engagement from yourself.
Yes. Well, no, it's not that we're not getting engagement. The problem is that what we want, as you can appreciate, is we want to have what's the word? Like, you wouldn't go and buy some medication on the black market, would you? And the reason that you wouldn't go buy or buy any goods or services from the black market is because, buyer beware. So when you go buy something from a black market, you have no legal protection, do you? So if I was to go buy some medication from the black market, mainly my mate down the corner or something, and if I suffer some adverse reaction to that medication, and I'm just giving you an example here, I no longer have consumer protection, do I? Because I've bought something effectively at the back of a lorry or something, and the buyer beware. So similarly, what the point I'm trying to raise is that if we take something or we take on goods or services, we want to have legal protection. So we want to ensure the fact that we're protected. Now, one of the things, at this present situation is presently exposing me at substantial personal risk. And that risk I've clearly articulated to you when a previous attempt had been made to give my brother a card through my brother Adalat. We had looked to withdraw the money. An allegation of safeguarding was made. Now, going forward, let's just say for argument's sake that we was to take this card that you're suggesting to us. Can you understand that this is entirely 100% to your advantage and to our disadvantage? Because soon as
why would it be an advantage to us and disadvantage to you?
I'll explain to you exactly why. Because at any stage, if, for example, let's say you put £250 in there, do you understand that we would not be able to spend that £250? We would most ideally look to deal in cash. So when we go to the cash machine and withdraw the £250, and I then proceed to spend that money, you are then in a position to say that, oh, Mr. Hussain, we have concerns that you stole that money. Okay? And effectively, you are then in a position to make any allegation you want. And the allegation that you
do that though, because we would know that you're dealing and you're supporting. I mean, we have hundreds of other clients where we are using prepaid cards, and then we have support workers who assist and support our clients going to the ATMs and buying grocery, withdrawing cash and what have you. So we've never accused them.
I know you haven't.
You know, you're stealing money or you're doing this or you're doing that. So why would we do that in yours?
I'll tell you why, Mr. Mulla, because I think, you know, first of all, you're obviously a very intelligent person. You wouldn't be in the post and position you are without being an intelligent person. You're not going to tell me that you're dumb or stupid. And the reason that I feel that you're being slightly disingenuous here in the example that you're giving is because all your other, prepaid card service users that have people that withdraw the money do not have a criminal conviction known to you, do they?
But we would hold that against you.
No, you could do.
If you are sort of acting in the best interest of your brother's welfare, then why would we question that?
No, just 1 second, Mr. Mulla. You've given an example that we have, you know, you're not exceptional. We have many other people that are, you know, we've given a card to and they yes. But what you're failing to recognize is that none of those other people have a criminal conviction. And we're not just, remind you, we're not just talking about a criminal conviction for general theft. We're talking about a criminal conviction for the very service user that you're giving a card to. So you do understand under these circumstances, my criminal conviction of defraud, financial fraud was not directed at anybody other than the victim of this criminality was my brother. So can you understand that it does create a clear conflict of interest, doesn't it? So can you understand that at any stage, at any time, which has, as I explained, has previously occurred in February 2019, and why it was necessary for me to open the prepayment card in front of a police officer to explain to them that the local authority are attempting to entrap me. Now, yes, of course,
I mean, I don't know whether you received a letter from from Chris. We did draft a letter that we were supposed to say. I believe that Chris had already sent here. And then I'm just reading that. And what it says here is we are now writing to you again to offer to pay you your weekly personal allowance. We can either pay that in cash or we can issue a new prepaid card to talk weekly. You can use this debit card
what date?
that allows you to pay for goods and services as well as letting you withdraw cash from an ATM.
Just
right? That's the first part. The second part is we can come to an agreement as to how much the weekly amount should be taken into account your health and medical condition as well as any dietary needs. Although usually we would expect to see receipts for how the weekly monies are spent, will not in your case for reasonable payments. So we are giving you a bit of a leeway.
Just 1 second, Mr. Mulla. Just 1 second.
Let me go further.
Sure, go ahead.
We would also invite your brother, yourself, Shazad Hussain, to make claims for any reasonable expenditure that may have been incurred over the recent past. Again, given the circumstances, we would not require paper evidence, but we would only pay reasonable claims. We acknowledge that your brother, Mr. Shazad Hussain, when in your role of your carer, will be required to support your access to the money via the acceptance of cash or the prepaid card, provided the use is reasonable and for your benefit, unless we notify him that we are wearing this agreement. Please contact us to confirm how you would like to progress with this matter. So I'm assuming that email came your way sometime in May this year.
What did they say about assumptions?
What assumption?
There's a saying, isn't there? The old colloquial saying, to make an assumption, you make an ass of yourself. All right. To assume things. I'm sorry, but it just came to my mind. This is why are you reading to me a letter that this is the first time I'm hearing this over the telephone?
Well, this is what I need to check with Chris whether this actually went to you or not.
No, so just to confirm to you, Mr. Mulla, no, this has not been received by us. Okay. So
okay. Well,
so
I'll check with Chris on
Mr.
that one.
Oh no, Mr. Brown, I can confirm to you that it's not been paid. Explain to me.
Okay.
So I'm just gonna obviously update you while I've got you on the phone here. That yes, there was some talk with Mr. Browell that they were gonna make some. He was gonna suggest a proposal, and I tried to.
That's the proposal we have just read you now.
Yes, I know, but this is the first time I'm hearing this. So I then
Okay.
proceeded to explain to Mr. Browell that I had a very lengthy conversation with him on some of the, some of the problems or some of the hurdles that we would have or experience with this. However, Mr. Browell said that obviously what he's been advised by, because obviously this proposal, you've not made this in isolation, have you? It's not something that you've just concocted or drafted, is it? It's something that you have liaised with other parties, namely your legal team and no doubt the other people in your organization. So it would be clear to state that this, what you've read to me, has not been entirely drafted in isolation by yourself, has it?
No, I'm not going to respond to that, but yes.
No, what do you mean you're not going to respond to it? I'm just basically asking you that you did not draft this in isolation. It was in collaboration.
Obviously, I need to liaise with other people
Yes.
in the local authority.
Yeah, so you would have liaised with the legal team and no doubt with Mr. Browell, because Mr. Browell is the one, I believe, that is as a result of me contacting him, quite persistently prior to our relationship breakdown a month ago. I was ringing him on a regular basis. So and he it was.
I understand that,
Yeah, so it was upon his suggestion, I would believe, that he had looked to try to find a proposal, because he accepts that obviously as my brother's care coordinator, that he recognizes that it was just 1 second, Mr. Mulla, I'm just getting another call. I'm just going to end that call. Yes, are you there? Yeah, sorry, I was just getting another call. So
it's going to be long because obviously I'm a bit busy with other things.
Oh, I'm sorry, Mr. Mulla. Yes, obviously, no, it's not going to be long. But obviously, this is the first time I'm contacting you, and now that you've made me aware that you are obviously you are short of time, we can always look to rearrange. But this was just an initial contact with yourself, just to obviously keep you in the loop. Hello? Yeah, so I won't take long, but one of the things that obviously what your understanding was that you sent out this letter, and I'm explaining to you that no letter's been sent out, and I was explaining to the circumstances that led to this creation of this letter. It no doubt was spearheaded by Mr. Browell. It would have been obviously what he's advised me subsequently is that he then needs to get obviously direction from is it Mr. Kenner who's been dealing with this as well? So in collaboration with Mr. Kenner, he would have he's been advised that it needs to be now translated into Urdu, which is an absolutely ridiculous exercise. And so prior to Mr. Browell going on holiday, he said, I'm going to send this to get translated. And then subsequently, I've not heard anything back from Mr. Browell because of a breakdown in the relationship.
That's probably what he's working on, because that letter should have gone out to.
Okay.
Maybe he's working on the translation, maybe.
Yeah, but can you understand this was several months ago now? With regards to this proposal, I just feel it's once again quite disingenuous on your part, where you're telling, and I'll tell you why it's disingenuous on your part, because obviously this seems to be like a paper exercise, where you're saying that we can give you some money. The bottom line remains is that not only is there a criminal conviction to take into consideration, but also now this fraudulent court order placing you in charge. And the reason that it's one of the problems that I highlighted to Mr. Browell is that when Mr. Browell came down in May and visited my brother, my brother had asked him the simple question, which is a very reasonable question, is that...
Are you saying Mr. Browell saw your brother in May this year?
Sorry, just to correct you. No, I'm not saying that. I'm saying Mr. Browell saw my brother in May last year, 2021.
Okay.
So when he had come down in May 2021, Mr. Browell saw my brother and spoke to him. And the first thing my brother asked him was, well, how much money of ours do you have? So that was a question. Obviously, Mr. Browell can confirm this. That was not something that was, prompted by me. That was something that Mr. Browell recognized, and he had then said that we'll get back to you on this. And I believe that any kind of genuine offer, we then subsequently stated this several times to Mr. Browell, because obviously I've not been liaising with yourself, is that was you can understand that is a very rational question to ask, is by my brother, like, how much money have you got? And then subsequently we've had a lot of problems with this, with Mr. Browell being evasive in answering a very simple question and giving us a response to this. And then I think, I've been pressing him upon this subsequently for a number of months, and I believe a couple of months ago he's eventually come back to us and said, it's some figure in the over £100,000. Now, prior to this, earlier on in this conversation, I said that, it's we don't want to take on money that we feel is fraudulent because it exposes us to risk or on the black market. So I think any reasonable proposal before can be even considered is that we do need to know how much money that you've accumulated. And it seems to me that, are you in a position or prepared to disclose that information to my brother?
No,
yes.
That's not because
yes. Mm-hmm.
How is the information going to help you in terms of, if we tell you, I don't know, you've got a million quid, that's not going to help you anyway, does it?
Well, the thing is, why I believe that you're being disingenuous or fraudulent or corrupt or whatever other pejorative terms I would use.
I can assure you we're not any of that stuff, but go on.
Well, how can you show me?
No.
How can you show me? Pardon?
We have to accept it.
No, why do I have to accept it? You have to, the reality is that it's just your word, isn't it? I mean, one of the examples I give is that obviously I believe, Mr. Mulla, you're of an Asian or ethnic minority background, yes?
Go on. What's your
what's my point is that often what happens is that the reason I asked that is because your name is Mr. Mulla, so I assume that you're of an Asian minority background. And as you can appreciate, or somebody being of the BAM, of the British or Black or Asian minority group, you obviously, no doubt, will be in agreement with me that you have faced an element of racism. And one of the questions I often ask indigenous Caucasian people is that, are you a racist? And I ask them a direct question. And they obviously respond by saying, and if I was to ask you that question, are you a racist, Mr. Mulla? Your natural response would be, no, I'm not. And I would say, well, can you prove that? All right. And so, the other question I would ask, assuming that you are a racist, and I asked you the question, are you a racist? What would be the difference in your answer? You're not going to accept it, are you? So that you're a racist, you will just always say no, whether you're a racist or not. So just by saying something does not prove or validate anything. So the reason I gave that example is because I've asked you that, I said I've made these allegations, ongoing allegations, that you're all fraudulent, corrupt, and you're saying no, we're not. But I'm saying, well, that's just your word, isn't it? I have my right to my own opinion and my own personal experiences. So I think it's best not to comment upon whether you are or not, unless you can, substantiate that you're not effectively, but through evidence. I have clear ewevidence, but we're digressing here. What I'm trying to say is that why would that be a problem for you? The very act my brother asked for a balance, all right, and for you, for the very fact that you're refusing, and not just at this moment, in May 2022 he had asked for his balance, and you're not providing with the balance. What is the potential risk in there? Let's just say, for argument's sake, that he's got £5 million in his reserve. I don't think he has, but let's just say, where is the risk in him having that information? And why it's important for him to have that information is because, as you can appreciate, in order for anybody to make any kind of informed decision, they need to be informed. And you're effectively denying him the right to make informed decisions. So, can you explain to me?
But what I'm saying is that if he were to know, say, for argument's sake, he's got £1 million, how would that help him make any informed decision about his day-to-day living?
But the problem is that, why would you not give him that information? And I tell you why it would be important. So let's just say, for argument, he's got £1 million in the bank. He can then decide, well, actually, because I've got this money, I can then say, well, what am I going to spend this upon? So he can't go out right now and buy himself a £500,000 Lamborghini, can he? He can't effectively, if he's got £1 million in the bank, he can't say, well, you know what? Actually, what I'm going to do is I'm sick of this country. I'm sick of the racism. I'm sick of the prejudice. I'm sick of the local authority murdering my family members and persecute me. Can you give me £1 million so I can emigrate back to my home country? And this is something that Talib has been saying to me quite persistently, that he wants to go back to Pakistan. Now, as you can appreciate, I have already endeavoured to take him to Pakistan in 2019, as you're fully aware of, in October, November, and December 2019. And no doubt, Mr. Mulla, since his last time he was on holiday, I think it's only a basic human right for everybody to go on holiday. And
absolutely,
yes,
we would never deny that.
But you are denying him that facility, aren't you? And the reason that the way you're denying that facility to him is by denying him access to information, because you're not telling him how much balance he has. So can you tell me, objectively speaking, what is the problem with Talib having the balance of how much money you're controlling of his?
I don't have any objections.
Okay, so thank you for that. So you don't have any objections. Mr. Christopher Barrow, his care coordinator, does not have any objections. So I think the best way, and like I said, I'm just conscious of the time, and you making me aware that you don't have much time. I think the simple answer to this, the simple resolution we're looking for at this stage, we're not even looking for the money. The first thing that my brother has asked, as I've explained to Mr. Browell, directly to him in May 2022, was how much money does he have. All right, and in order for us to have any reasonable way to progress this matter, considering that Mr. Browell has confirmed that he has no objections to giving this information, you have just confirmed to me as his financial deputy, you have no objections to providing that information.
Giving it directly, yes, to Mr. to your brother Talib, obviously.
Yes. So you've got no objections to this, and so how would you proceed to do that? Would you not be able to write to him?
Well, we'd need the request in writing, wouldn't we, from him?
What do you mean you? So what about his money? These are just stonewalling tactics, isn't it? I mean, you're writing to my brother. My brother has told you orally, directly to your face, in the guise of Mr. Browell, how much is my money. He's made that request orally, and now you're asking somebody to write to him.
Yeah, well, this is it.
You see, Mr. Browell. Yes. You see, Mr. Mulla, this is.
We need to communicate with you in writing, I'm afraid.
Yes, Mr. See, this is why you are, I believe, Mr. Behind the facade, and I don't mean to be disrespectful to yourself, but behind this facade of eloquence and forthrightness, there's a level of deception here, isn't there? Because on the one hand, you're telling me that my brother needs to make this request. I've explained to you, you can have it witnessed that he's made this request to you to Mr. Browell in May. Yes, you can ring Mr. Browell to confirm that. And now when he's asked for that information, you're being very cagey about this information. And so this is why I believe that you're being disingenuous, because on the surface of it, you can't substantiate that, can you? Because there is no reasonable grounds of why, whose money you're controlling, you're not telling him how much money you got. So the reality is this, that what is the real reason why you won't tell him how much money he's got?
Like I say, he needs to put the request in writing.
Why? Are you confirming to me, Mr. Browell, that the local authority is highly prejudicial against the Equality Act 2010, where you're forcing somebody who does not speak English or write English to put things in writing to you? Why does he need to put it in writing? Is that what you're confirming to me?
I can't discuss anything with you at the moment because obviously I'm pressured for time.
Yes,
but,
yes.
You'll have to put whatever you need, whatever the issue you have, you'll have to put that in writing.
But why?
Because that's the way the local authority wants you to communicate.
I know, that's the way the local... Is it a law? It's not a law, is it? So how do you... Mr. Browell, you do understand that my brother does not speak English. So you do understand that he's got mental health problems. So can you understand that we're not even asking for the money right now? My brother directly has asked for his balance, and you know what is the real reason? Because obviously the local authority don't want to give that information, get that information out to him, does he? Because what efforts have you made to give that information to him? Have you written to out to us? Because like I said, this proposal letter that you're talking about, we've not received it to date.
Well, I need to follow that up with Chris, don't I, in terms of what's happened to that letter.
Yes. But the bottom line is that any kind of proposal, and this is one of the challenges that we've mentioned to Mr. Browell, and obviously I'm not speaking to you directly now. Can I ask? Obviously, I don't want to turn this call for too long. Can I ask whom are the other parties involved in the decision maker? Because evidently, Mr. Browell, Mr. Mulla, you are not the decision maker regarding the disclosure of this information. And I've concluded this because my brother made a request to Mr. Browell for this balance information that was relayed to yourself. You have confirmed to me on the telephone. You have no objections to this. So there's clearly some other decision maker who's objecting to this, because since May 2022, which is over a year or more than a year now, that this is all we've asked. We cannot progress any further unless you provide us with a balance. And you can't justify why you can't provide the balance, because ultimately, like I said, there's certain elephants in the room that you don't want to obviously undermine your position as a local authority. So can I just ask, whom else is the decision maker?
I can't disclose any of that information. But what I'm saying to you is, if you want any issues resolving, then you just have to put it in writing.
No, Mr. Browell, sorry, Mr. Mulla, we don't need to put anything in writing. Okay, because forcing...
Well, I'm going to terminate this call now because I've got other calls.
Okay, Mr. Mulla, when can we speak next? When can we speak next?
Hello?
Yes, I said, when can we speak next?
Well, you'll have to put everything in writing, I'm afraid.
No.
That's the way the local authority wants you to communicate, so...
I have to put things... we can do things orally. I can make a subject access request orally. I mean, you do understand that trying to railroad somebody to put something... Do you want me to put it in writing or Talib to put it in writing?
Talib?
But Talib doesn't read or write English. Because Talib doesn't read English, does he? He's made an oral request. He's orally articulated that, Mr. Browell. So, you're asking somebody who's illiterate to put things in writing. How is that not prejudicial? Sorry, I said...
How have you been communicating with the local authority up to now?
Well, the way that my brother's been communicating with the local authority is through myself, and the way I've been communicating with the local authority is directly over the telephone with my conversations with Mr. Browell. Because of a breakdown in the relationship, I no longer feel appropriate to speak to Mr. Browell because of the fact that Mr. Browell is obviously not in a position to assist us and is acting as a proxy agent to the decision maker. I've asked him who is the decision maker. He's given me the impression that it's the council, or namely yourself. Evidently, speaking to you today, it seems that you're not the decision maker regarding withholding this information. So we're just asking. My brother has asked for this information orally. He asked for it in May.
Like you say, you've been communicating on your brother's behalf, so you need to write on your brother's behalf then.
But why are you? Do you not understand what would you like me to put in writing to you, Mr. Mulla? Please provide the balance of my brother's account. Once again, you're being quite disingenuous. You do understand it's a simple request, isn't it? This request is, what is the balance of the money that you're holding on behalf of my brother?
Okay, well, put that in writing. That's what I'm saying.
But why you do? So why would Mr. Mulla? Help me understand. You put things in writing for clarity, don't you? So, we've said because of our disabilities and our inabilities, like my brothers, we like to do things orally. You understand what we're asking for. We're asking for... Is there confusion in what we're asking? We're asking for a balance, aren't we? Of how much money you've got.
You are, but for GDPR purposes, we will obviously need to communicate with your brother only, not for you. If you were to send something in writing, then we can respond to you.
But you know, my brother has requested this orally, hasn't he, with Mr. Browell when he came to visit, and you've not provided this information, and I just feel that you're changing now the goalpost. All right, so the goalpost is now being changed that we need to put, and I often deal with this all the time. People say, "Oh no, put it in writing," and I'm saying, "Well, no, we're not. You know, we're not required to put anything in writing. You, as a local authority, must make a reasonable adjustments to people's disabilities." Now, do you accept that my brother has disabilities?
Well, he's got mental impairment, hasn't he?
Well, no, he's not just got mental impairment. I'm sorry, I disagree with you upon that. But let's just put that to one side. He suffers from schizophrenia, doesn't he? He's on disability living allowance, isn't he?
Yeah.
So, irrespective of what particular condition he suffers from, he's formally getting disability living allowance. So that means he has a disability. All right, we're not going to get into we're not going to get into the details of the which disability.
No,
but
I'm sorry, I'm going to have to put the phone down because obviously I've got other things to do.
Mr. Mulla, are you at home having a meal right now?
No, I'm working from home. Yes, I'm having a bit of fruit. Yes.
Yeah, so you're eating right now, yes, working from home. You know the idea that obviously you got another telephone call. Look, if it's an inconvenient time, I don't mean to disturb you at home while you're having a meal. Can we arrange to speak tomorrow?
I'm not having a meal. All I'm having is a bit of fruit.
Well, irrespective, Mr. Mulla, you're eating right now, and it's not appropriate for me to speak to you. I understand this. So can I call you tomorrow at a convenient time?
No, I'm not going to be answering any phone calls.
Why?
No.
Why,
no,
Mr. Mulla?
I'm afraid not. No.
Why is that?
I only picked it up because I didn't know who the number was. It said private number, so.
Oh, okay. And so can you understand that? What reasonable adjustments are you looking to make for my brother to speak to somebody, or for me to speak to on his behalf? If you're saying that you don't want to speak, this is highly concerning, Mr. Mulla. Why would you not want to speak to me? Have I been rude or disrespectful to you?
No, it's not that. It's a lot of time you're taking. We've already spoken for 40 minutes and we haven't got anywhere.
Yeah, no, of course we have. We've come to the conclusion. I've identified that we've not received this letter. Okay, you were under a misunderstanding that this letter's been sent out. I've clarified that situation with yourself. I've explained to you that in the past I've been liaising directly with Mr. Browell. I will not be doing that because of a breakdown in relationship. Hence why I've contacted you. Hence why I've contacted you.
Come to me now because you can't speak to Chris.
It's not that I can't speak to him. I don't want to speak to him. And the reason I don't want to speak to him is because that he is not in a position to help or assist. He's telling me that he's not the decision maker. So I've spoken to you, and it seems to me that you as the you cannot be the decision maker because you've agreed that there's no reasonable reason why my brother should not have a balance. You're effectively trying to be evasive now and saying, put something in writing when my brother has made an oral request. And then you're telling us that this is how the local authority operates, because obviously the local authority has to make reasonable adjustments for people's disabilities, and obviously you don't have a
standard. I'm going to have to cut the phone now.
Yes. Okay, but why are you refusing to speak to me? Why are you?
Because of the amount of time you're taking up. That's why.
Okay, well, we'll restrict it, but my brother's not. Is it not correct that my brother's not had any access to money for over several years now?
Yeah, but we've been, like I say, the first thing I said was, we gave you the card, you didn't accept the card, and then, and we're now writing to you, in the process of writing to you,
yes,
to offer another attempt at making you aware that there is facility to use the card.
So basically, what you're telling us is that, that we should bend over and kiss your feet in order to get our money that belongs to us. Yes, you are. Of course, you. What are you saying?
We're not saying that. All we're saying is that there are certain processes and protocols that we have to
Would you like us, Mr. Browell? I can come down to your office, get on my hands and knees, and beg you for the money. No, we'll do that.
Why would you?
No, why would we not? Because that's what you want, isn't it? That's what you want from us. No, of course, Mr. Browell. No, sorry, Mr. Mulla. That's what you want, isn't it? That's as a local authority. No, that's exactly how you operate. You want power and control, all right, and you want us to beg us for the money, Mr. Mulla. Look.
No, we're asking you to respect.
No, no, of course you are. For our money. For,
We're just being reasonable, that's all.
you're being reasonable. What? You're refusing to speak to me on the telephone saying, oh, this call has been 45 minutes. You're distracting me. Yes, and I'm sorry to be upsetting or distracting you whilst you're at home getting paid at public expense to eat fruit while on the call to me, and you're not looking to rearrange the call to a more convenient professional time. So basically, it is the case, isn't it, that you as the local authority are gangsters and criminals, and basically you're threatening and intimidating us with our own money, and what you want ultimately. Yes, Mr. Mulla. Yes. Yes. It's not a perception. It's the reality, isn't it? You the local authority. Is it not the case that you are going out of your way? You are trying to entrap me. No. You the local authority effectively are not fit for purpose. You have basically you got no money left. Okay. And as a result of this, you are acting like. You got no money left as a council, haven't you? That's correct, isn't it? You're billions of pounds in deficit. You're raising the council tax. You're effectively not fit for purpose. I do. You're right. I do, and the reality is this: that you are all working in order to justify your jobs, aren't you? No doubt, Mr. Mulla, as a manager, you're on more than 50,000 pound a year. All right, and where's that money coming from? In order to facilitate, basically, you're stealing from us, isn't it? You're stealing from us in order to feed yourselves. This is a clear abuse. Mr. Mulla, I like I said, I don't want to upset you or be disrespectful to you in any way. All I'm looking to do is trying to resolve a situation.
Same here, Louis. We'd like to help you and your brother.
How would you? But you're being disingenuous, aren't you, though? You would like us to beg. Yes, of course. You would like us to beg. Look, all right, you know what, Mr. Mulla? I know you can't see me, but I'm going to get on my hands and knees and beg you. Come on, please. Please, Mr. Mulla. Don't do this to us. We're starving to death, Mr. Mulla. We got no money left, please. For God's sake, help us, Mr. Mulla. Help us. Okay. Oh, we'll speak next soon. When can I speak to you next?
I can't promise you anything in terms of when I can speak to you. Like I say, any issues you got to put it in writing.
I don't have to put anything in writing, Mr. Mulla, and you know that. That's discriminatory. All right. Okay. Let's look to end the call. Okay, let's agree to disagree. Okay, Mr. Mulla, I'll speak to you soon. Goodbye. So look at this, yeah, how disingenuous. He's sat at home, popping his wife's made him some food whilst being at work, remember. So this whole COVID thing and working from home is absolutely beautiful for these people, aren't they? So now they can just work from home. So Mr. Mulla is at home. The thing with Mr. Mulla, he's quite an honest person to a certain degree, isn't he? He's accepted the fact that, look, I only answered the call because it was a private number. I'm at work. I'm at duty. This is a phone, a company phone, basically. I'm sat at home, got my feet up. My wife's made me some supper because it's 5 o'clock, and I'm chomping away at some food and telling Mr. Hussain that, I'm very busy, I'm awfully busy at home, got other telephone calls to listen to, got definite other calls on the line. I'm very busy, you've called me impromptuously. And then said, you're taking so much of my precious time, all right, and it's been 45 minutes I've been on this call. I was not expecting it, and I want to get off this call. And I said, okay, well, we can speak at another time. No, I will not be speaking to you any further, Mr. Hussain, because obviously they've received instructions not to, speak to me on the telephone. And then subsequently, coming out with some obviously gobbledygook. Put it in writing. You put it in writing. Okay, I'll put it in writing. I charge money for putting it in writing. Are you going to pay me first? I charge £10 a word. Are you going to pay me that money? No, we're not going to pay you any money. We're a cash-strapped, oh, look at us, we're a poor cash-strapped council. We got no money. We're just all poor. We're just trying to do our job. You know, this guy is quite malevolent. As you can see from listening to him, that he is trying to trick me. And obviously, he's coming across with that very calm, cool, and collective voice. And why would he not be? If you're on £50,000 a year, all right, sitting at home, chomping away at your dinner and eating fruit on the telephone call, you've basically got it good, haven't you? You got no issues here. You're getting paid a shitload of money to sit at home and to do F all, sweet F all. Why would you be angry or aggressive or, anything other than polite on the telephone? So Mr. Mulla is obviously a senior individual at Bradford Council. Why would he be abusive or aggressive towards me? But you can see that the subtleness, the subtle nuances of the way he's speaking to me. He's saying, oh, we sent you a card. When did you send me the card? You sent me a card at the time when you were planning to murder my brother. You had kicked us out of the city and you had sent a card in order to entrap me, didn't you? So so soon as I get the card, I take out money from my brother Talib, and then you're going to make all these allegations. Or where did you do this money? Evidence it to us. You know, you're going to be sitting in a position of, you want to sit in a position of authority, of no accountability, of no responsibility, and to be in a position to pass judgment on others. Why did you do this? Why did you do that? Okay, and we're the local authority, and we did this, and we have the power to ask you these questions. Oh, because it's all because your brother's a vulnerable person, and we're here to safeguard him. When the reality is that, no, you're not here to safeguard him. You're here to safeguard yourselves and be looking to plunder money. And can you see that he's taking a very relaxed point of view. Oh, did we not send you a letter? Oh, I thought we sent you a letter. Oh, it was. I'll chase that up. Basically, yeah, we basically fucked you guys. Yeah, fuck you. We fucked you guys. You got no money. We're not going to give you the money. In order for you to get your own money or your own benefit money, we want you to jump through hoops after hoops or hurdle after hurdle. And what we will do is then we will decide what is reasonable. We will decide what is justified. We will decide what's in our best interest. And ultimately, what we want you to do is we want to put our boot upon your face and forevermore for you to beg us. So when I started begging him, he was like, oh, no. He loved that, didn't he? Of course, he loved it. He loved that. And now these council people, they're like bouncers in a nightclub who are, very disadvantaged. And all they love the power trip in it. Of course they love it. Oh, they love us begging them. Oh, please, Mr. Mulla, please help me. And he will then, in his infinite mercy and benevolence, give us our benefit money, all right, that we are entitled to, that everybody else is legally entitled to, all right. This is our money that they're controlling. It's my brother's money, and they want us to beg and write to them and, put all this bureaucratic things in place after they have, may I add, murdered my mother, murdered my brother Nazim, all right, gone to the judges, defrauded my brother all his rights, and now they're like sitting back pretty, isn't it? It's like Mr. Mulla is in a situation where he has absolutely zero accountability to anybody. There is not a single chance that he's now in charge of all this money in Bradford Council for all the vulnerable people, that he is ever going to go into jail for swindling that money, or if he's ever going to do anything bad is ever gonna happen to him. He's on easily on 50,000-60,000 pound a year as a senior manager of the financial protection team, and nothing ever as bad is gonna happen to him. He's got a sweet house, no doubt, a sweet wife who cooks for him and dotes over him. He's there sitting there with his legs wide open, feet up, legs wide open, telling people, king of his own castle, asking me to effectively beg him and saying, no, we're not like that. We're a local authority. Rest assured that there's no fraud and corruption here. Everything's fine. We're doing okay. No problem here. When the reality is that they're not, and I'm onto them, and I'm putting them into this situation. And they're in the background. He's not the decision maker. He's not accountable. He's like, hey man, I'm just a guy doing my job. I'm going to work every day, filling the paperwork. I'm just doing my job. You tell me what to do and I'll do it. This is my job. All right. But the reality is that he's part of this collective group, which is the local authority that are effectively now stolen my brother's benefit money for several years now. They've fraudulently become my brother's DWP appointee. They have worked with my brother Adalat in order to swindle my vulnerable brother Talib all his money. In the background, they've been plotting, planning, conspiring to put us back into prison. Through the court of protection, of buying off the judges, to my surprise, buying off the senior judiciary and the justices in order to target and victimize me because of the failure in adult social care, because of the systemic and endemic corruption. But they'll just say, no, Mr. Hussain, oh, you're such a silly little Billy, aren't you? You're telling us that we're fraudulent and corrupt. Don't you know that we're the local authority? Don't you know we have all these privileged titles? Well, I'm just thinking to myself, on the most highest post in the land is that of the Prime Minister, and Boris Johnson was caught out lying and being fraudulent and corrupt. So what's stopping anybody else? I mean, it's just the sheer tenacity of these people sitting at home, with our money effectively, can be in a position to get paid 50,000-60,000 pounds, getting his wife to make him his dinner, having sitting there saying to me he's eating some fruit. Okay, it's just wife's giving him his dinner, and he's saying, oh no, I'm just eating some fruit. All right, when I pulled him up on it, I said, I just want to speak to you. Okay, man, just talk to me. What's wrong? No, you must put it in writing. We're a local authority. We do things properly. They don't do anything properly. Well, they're just a bunch of gangsters, all right, in a position of authority and position of power, and they are effectively doing, it's the same old thing, power corrupts, and absolute power corrupts absolutely. These are people in positions of power and authority that are effectively victimizing. So there's a local authority, the fourth largest in the UK, effectively victimizing one of the most vulnerable people, some of the most vulnerable people in society. My brother is doubly incontinent. He does not have access to any money for the last several years. They've criminally convicted me of defrauding him, taken away our family trust fund. Now, all I'm asking for, what am I asking for? Did we say we need the money? Did we say we're dying here? All right, that was obviously comical. We are asking him the simple question, the simplest of questions. All right. You're controlling his money. You've bought off the judges. You're now in charge. Okay, big boss man. If it's his money, he has a right to know how much it is. We're just asking for a balance. Just a balance of the money that you're controlling. And he goes, why do you need that information? How will that assist you? What's that about? Why do you need that? Why? Simple information, innit? We can't make a decision. If he's got 50 pence in his bank account, or the money that if he's got 50 pence, then how can he go buy a pound worth of a Lucozade bottle if he's only got 50 pence there? So he needs to know how much money he's got. It would just simply be a basic understanding of any person has a right to know the basic amount of money. If it's his money, then tell him how much money he's got. All right, he's orally said this to you. He's asked you orally over. Now we're in August 2023. He asked directly this question to Mr. Browell when he came down. How much money have I got? What's the balance? That's a reasonable, logical conclusion. And these guys are now desperate. And he gives it, he's got a mental impairment. What's his mental impairment? They're trying to make out that my brother's got, comes under this jurisdiction and scope because they've all got caught out lying, cheating, committing fraud and corruption. But this guy, obviously, I've not spoken to this guy. I don't believe I've spoken to him since November 2019. We're in now August 2023. So the last time I spoke to him was several years ago, and he himself knows he's been shading then as well. Because at the time I got my brother's lasting power of attorney in place. The local authority have been working closely with all these partners and associates in order to ensure that my brother's lasting power of attorney is overturned. They worked with the Office of the Public Guardian. They bought off the courts and the judiciary in order to undermine his lasting power of attorney. And subsequently, we're in this limbo situation where Mr. Mulla is there sitting nice as can be, eating his food while we're starving to death. All right, literally, we've not had any money coming in. We're surviving off my £70 carers allowance a week to live off that. And at the same time, they're saying we're the local authority, we don't do stuff like this, we don't murder people, you're crazy, hey man, you're crazy for saying such things. And we are the local authority. Look at us, everybody. We are in a position of authority. Respect us. And it's just that old bully boy tactics, isn't it? They won't speak to me. Why will they not speak to me? Have I been rude or disrespectful? Have I been aggressive towards them? No, I'm just simply asking questions, and I have a right to ask those questions as a citizen. And ultimately, he was just trying to fob us off from pillar to post, telling us, "Oh, we'll give you a card. You didn't accept that. We made efforts. Oh, you're not doing anything like this." Every week that goes by is a week that my brother is not getting access to his own benefit money. And may I add, that is the crime that they convicted me of. They said, "You're not giving him his benefit money," when I was living with him, all right, for several years. They said, "Oh, you've accumulated all this money." And ultimately, what it came down to is this: that the local authority has got no money. And so what they've turned to is cannibalism. They're cannibalizing the civilians in order to meet their own financial needs and financial ends, and are effectively abusing the position of power and authority, and victimizing the vulnerable people in order to plunder from them, in order for them to survive. So people like Mr Mulla can sit at home, eating, having his feet up, eating, having a supper, having his fruit, and nobody can say anything else to them, because they're obviously an authority, and I'm just a poor, disadvantaged carer who's trying to get some justice for my brother and myself.